Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. Right, well, the Lib Dems have kind of always been on the side of the disabled and the people who are at the lowest rungs of the ladder, shall we say. But Ed Davey has come out with a weird remark which isn't even backed up by his own shadow work and pension secretary. And he's basically said that because of the way the Conservatives ran the system, he believes there is still quite a lot of fraud in the PIP system and in the DWP. Now, I don't think that's true. The figures back that up, and his own work and pension secretary says exactly the same thing. So I'm going to read to you the article now. It's on the Disability News Service, and I'll let you decide down in the comment section what you think. Let's take a look. He stirs up hostility towards disabled claimants as Lib Dem spokespersons links similar attacks to far right. Liberal Democrat leader Sir Ed Davey has whipped up hostility towards disabled people by suggesting there is widespread fraud among claimants of personal dependence payment, despite his own work and pension spokesman linking similar unfounded attacks to the far right. In an interview with the Radio Times at the Liberal Democrat Party conference in Bournemouth, Sir Ed suggested the reduction in face-to-face assessments has led to quite a lot of fraud among the recent increase in PIP claimants since the start of the pandemic. The latest figures from the Department of Work and Pensions estimate that just 0.4% of PIP spending in 24-25 was due to fraud, while the previous year's estimate had been 0%. Despite these facts, Sir Ed said, "There's a real suggestion in those numbers by the Conservatives managed the system that there's quite a lot of fraud there, and surely everyone can agree we should go after the fraud to make sure that people who need the benefits, that people who are really disabled, can still get them." But Sir Ed's comments came on the same morning that his own work and pension spokesperson, disabled MP Steve Darling, told Disability News Service that far-right activists were launching similar attacks on disability claimants using dubious figures on economic inactivity. Darling said, "My real fear is that in our now Trumpian world, the far right don't need the facts to add up to make outlandish claims." He said it was disturbing how the far right will just make up narratives for their own purposes and demonising others as part of their playbook, and sadly people with disabilities, and quite often people with hidden disabilities, are in the crosshairs. It's part of that pushback against the far right, and what we need to be doing is unpicking that, because otherwise that half-truth will be built on by the far right to demonise people with disabilities. Sir Ed also mirrored claims by right-wing politicians when he claimed that it was vital to reduce spending on social security, despite widely available official figures showing that expenditure is stable as a proportion of GDP. His comments on PIP were particularly embarrassing because he focused in his main conference speech on Tuesday on attacking Reform UK and its leader Nigel Farage, warning repeatedly of the Trump-inspired country Farage wants us to become. Asked about his leader's comments, Darling declined to say if he agreed with them, but yesterday he issued a statement through his party's press office. He said Liberal Democrats are proud champions for the most vulnerable in society. We led the charge against the government's ill-thought welfare cuts bill and played an instrumental role in defeating plans to slash PIP. We will always stand up for the disabled people and their carers. Ed rightly pointed out that the Conservative Party's move to telephone assessments has damaged, undermining public trust in the welfare system. A fair system of in-person assessments where possible is vital to make sure this critical support is there for people who need it. More broadly, Liberal Democrats have long argued the best way to reduce welfare spending is to tackle the root causes of the rising welfare bill by seriously investing in health and care and making it easier for disabled people to access the world of work. So I think what you've got there is a bit of a mixed message, but it certainly looks as though Steve Darling is there for the disabled people. He's disabled himself, and I think that he understands completely what the situation is. I mean, you know, there may be some cross wires in terms of what Ed Davey's saying and what he's saying, but I think in general terms, I think what Steve Darling is saying is, you know, has a kernel of truth to it. They should be fixing the health areas regarding disabled people and the care areas regarding disabled people, because that then may help more people go back into work if they feel they can, and if they can go back into work. rather than just saying arbitrarily everyone can try to go back to work. So I can understand where Steve Darling is coming from. A bit concerning about Ed Davey. I don't think that he's really understood what's been going on in terms of the fraud within the PIP system. I mean, yes, okay, you could argue that the telephone assessments might not be as effective, shall we say, as the in-person interviews, but I would argue that's also a good thing, because I think when you have a face-to-face interview, and I've seen this and heard this many times from people, they get told that they're absolutely fine when they're not. So face-to-face interviews are no better in terms of trying to root out wrong decisions by DWP than telephone ones are. And I think that if you base a system on evidence, if you base a system based on what the doctor provides, what hospital provides, then you've got a system whereby face-to-face or in person, that doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is the evidence that they have in front of them, and if there's evidence to suggest this person can't work or whatever that might be, then the evidence is there, and it shouldn't necessarily just be based solely on the assessment. There should be the backup of evidence to back that up. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. Do you think Ed Davey is just a little bit misunderstood? Do you think he's just not understood what's going on? Do you think that the Liberal Democrats are a viable option when it comes to a government coming in and helping disabled people, rather than trying to bash them and beat them down? I'd like to hear your thoughts down in the comment section. Please do let me know what you think. Also, please do subscribe if you got this far, and I'll see you next time.